Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass and this is another Conquest Battle Report. ASMR. No, still not doing the ASMR Conquest Battle Report. Today I am playing a list called Zero Standards. This is the next evolution in Huckleberry Smash's list, or Andrew. He played it at Adepticon and LVO. It was the tons of Ashen Dawn and Sealed Temple with Water Mage. The change in the list is Theist Priest and Militia Bowman. That's literally it. I am playing this list into my local Nords player, who was also the other 100k player. He's kind of swapped to Nords lately. Sometimes he flip-flops between the two, depends on how he's feeling. He's playing a list called All the Standards, so we're going to find out today if you have zero standards or all the standards, who will win. So let's get on the list and we'll talk about it and do all that stuff. Here's Zero Standards. As I said before, we got Prior Commander of the Sealed Temple. He's our Warlord. We got 2 units of Order of the Sealed Temple and then 2 units of Order of Ashen Dawn. They're 4 stands instead of the regular MSUs. Then we got another Warband with Prior Commander of the Sealed Temple, Order of the Sealed Temple, and then another 4 stands of Order of the Ashen Dawn. So it's 12 Ashen Dawn. That's way too much Ashen Dawn. Then we got a Theist Priest with Focused and a unit of Militia Bowmen. So, what is this list trying to do? This list is really trying to do, its main spell it's going to be casting is, where is it? Saint's Favor. Let's go read that real quick, just so that we are all on the same page. And I can't find it. There's Heavenly Blessing, Fervor. Why is this not in the order of spells? It's weird. It's also only 2 pages. There we go. Saint's Favor. Team at 3, scaling, range 10. Target regiment adds +1 to either defense or evasion. So the whole point of the list is to try and get Ashen Dawn to defense 5 or Sealed Temple up to defense 5. So you're trying to really make this incredibly difficult anvil that your opponent has to break through. My issue with that is that you have to be anticipative instead of reactionary. So with the old version of the Water Mage that could heal cavalry, you could have the Ashen Dawn go in, fight, take a bit of damage, heal up that damage, infinitely grind out with the Ashen Dawn to win that fight and move forward. Sweet, cool. With the Theist Priest, you need to start with the Theist Priest, cast that spell onto the Ashen Dawn or Sealed Temple, then get them into combat, or if they're already into combat, you probably want to just draw the Ashen Dawn and Sealed Temple first so you can do damage to the opposing regiment, so that you just kill it so you don't take damage back, and move on that way. So, what does the Theist Priest do? And this kind of happens mid-game, is that the Theist Priest swaps from casting Saint's Favor into Holy Fire or Bless. So you're either blessing Sealed Temple that haven't gone into combat yet, and it's not the Supremacy turn for the Order of First Blessing, and you're just Holy Firing people to death, and that's kind of what his job ends up being. I myself am not personally 100% sold on it. I'm glad I've played this list because it's actually pretty strong and pretty mean and pretty hard to deal with. But that changed because of how the list functions with the majority of its regiments in the Ashen Dawn. You know that they're going to stay around for quite a while, so being able to heal them up is much better. But because of the recent changes and nerfs to that, what's A-okay and need to be done, this is kind of the new thing. So, Defense 5, it's more of something you do on the approach. So if you're getting shot by Marksman clones, the new Leona Avatara, Dweghome stuff, all of Dweghome, even like Bow Chosen and Stalkers. Like, yeah, Bow Chosen have those Smite 1s, but the rest of them are going to be against your Defense 5, so, you know, you'll only take a wound on a 6, which is pretty good. So it's really good getting your stuff into combat. But once it's in combat, you want to start activating your Ashen Dawn, Sealed Temple first, clean up those combats, move forward, and the priest starts getting into a Holy Fire routine where he's just kind of blitzing people and blasting them apart. Your opponent wants to snipe out the priest. He's in Militia Bowmen that are terrible. Like, they don't live. So you really got to play cagey and keep him and his regiment back, but also close enough within 10 to cast his spells, get those buffs out, do that kind of work. A nice thing about the list is that every other regiment besides the Theus Priest is size 2. So they can body block, they can cover for him, they can get in way of line of sight, what's really good. While another thing you got to look out for, this kind of comes out of more like Spires, and it's always a fun matchup, is Marksman Clone's Arcing Fire. Best defense is just stay out of range. Or having Strix who can get a 1 bead from like a flank and then just fly over and engage you. And then at that point, you're kind of screwed, because then you got to turn something around, or hopefully you have something around to just kind of like clean them up and keep them off you. But you got to be aware of those things. So Militia Bowmen, pretty weak. They die really quick. Like the defense 1 was resolved 2 and 4 wounds. Like these guys are dying to anything. Like Bow Chosen with just 1 volley, a march volley will just kill them. You're like the best defense is just don't be in range with these guys. And once lines start getting drawn and threats start getting cleaned up, you can start bringing the Theus Priest and his regiment forward to keep up the buff, to keep holy firing people down, but you need to keep them safe. Having 1 regiment you need to keep safe it's not bad. Like, you can kind of sack the rest of the stuff to kind of keep them safe, or trade him, or sometimes maybe you need to just throw him up there and get him to die for you, because he's not going to be doing much else. Because, you know, maybe there's like a ton of wizards what are doing interference bubbles, or maybe you just need to keep like something off the back of Ashen Dawn or Steel Temple. So, you know, you got choices there. The Warlord Steel Temple guy, I tend to bring on his 2 units of Ashen Dawn first, and then the other unit of Ashen Dawn last. Mostly because I want to harden 1 these guys, because they're going to be going into combat, and I kind of need them on a critical turn to be hardened 1, so that they can take a hit and then punch back. While this last Order of Ashen Dawn, he's kind of there just for cleanup and wiping out anything that's left. And really that's it. You're using your Sealed Temple guys, you're running around, getting in the way, applying pressure, and you're kind of just waiting. So for the first 3-4 turns, you're kind of just waiting until you get at least 2 units of Ashen Dawn on the table. Hopefully all 3. Like if you have on turn 3, get all your Ashen Dawn, like, oh boy, here we go. But you're kind of just moving around, grabbing easy picks if your opponents expose themselves. Maybe you're stalling or gumming up something because you know your opponent's trying to make a big push, and you just need Ashen Dawn to get in there. So with your Order of Steel Temple, make sure as the Ashen Dawn come up the table, you're not blocking your way. So like someone doesn't charge you, tie up the Steel Temple, and then the Ashen Dawn are sitting right behind them and they can't jump the Steel Temple to get into work and do stuff. That's a problem. That's something you need to be aware of. So with that, here's my rules. It's 2 pages. Let's go on to all the standards. Here's my opponent's list, all the standards. He's running Dragon and Broken Blade with a Jarl Warlord. Scoring with the characters and lights, really good. Having Dragon for the extra, I believe it's Clash, and then Broken Blade for Cleave 1. Also pretty good on the Jarl. He's going to be sitting in an MSU of Huskarls with a Standard Bearer. Don't worry, this Standard Bearer guy is going to be getting a lot of work. Jarl Warlord currently, because of how scoring works with Scenario, probably the best Warlord for Nords, and then it's either like Blooded or Shaman. Volva and Conagir have kind of fallen off, but Jarl just keeps proving his worth. And then if you're going into like an MSU spam, you can kind of just swarm people and really get the opportunist side of surprise attack off, so that you can reroll your attack rolls and do more damage. Huskarls, 2 units of Huskarls with Standard Bearer. Defense 3, so it's like 2 base, then 3 with a shield, and untouchable. Pretty good to keep them alive. They kind of don't die to chip damage. You kind of need to put a little extra oomph into them. They're great into shooting. They're great into melee. They're kind of more of a generalist anvil. You kind of want to like put more guys, but even as an MSU, like MSU versus MSU, they won't win the fight. They'll just stall out a little longer. And if that's what you need, then you have Huskarls who can do that well. So they usually take in an MSU off, usually 2 turns to kill off, so that you can kind of keep going forward. What, as a Nords player, hopefully is enough time to get that swarm going and just kind of bum rush people and time all up and everything. Also, remember your army rule. You get plus 2 inches to charge someone if they're engaged with one of your regiments. So Huskarls living if on 1 stand with 1 wound. Perfect to have, let's say, Bear Sharks, Ogre, whatever else you need. What's a non-monster stand in there to do that work. Then he's got 2 units of Bear Sharks with Standard Bearer. These guys are great for doing that damage. Clash 3, 5 attacks, cleave 2, line breaker. Like, you're really getting through to a lot of people. Their downsides are how fast they are. They're only March 5. And they're heavy, so they're not really zipping up the table. They are defense range Resolve 5. So Resolve 5 is really good because they have Bloodlust, so you can do what you need to do. But 6s do happen. What's not that great? It happened this game, and my opponent just, whiffed the 5-inch charge with a reroll and didn't get in, and was kind of like, okay, sweet, guess I'm just gonna take that regiment now. So Bloodlust, still not that great, even if you Resolve 5. Defense 3 is pretty solid on them. Because of their Resolve 5, they're not really taking Resolve damage, so most of the time, whatever damage you do is kind of whatever damage you get. However, they're 4 wounds per stand, so they just fall apart once that chip damage goes through. They're also very susceptible to cleave, so putting cleave 1 or 2 in them, they're just going to fall apart. My other issue with them is that they're kind of pricey. While Ogre are cheaper, they have 1 less attack, but they are March 6, and they still have that cleave 2, and they're mediums, so they're coming on a turn early. So you kind of set your Ogre up with your Light Raiders, or Huskarls, or Trolls, or, Fenrir's Beast Pack, or whatever you want. And they can be the hammer you need, and you can set them up in an advantageous position earlier on, while Bear Sharks kind of just fill holes. That's kind of how they played. That's kind of how I found them. So I'm not super sold on Bear Sharks, just because Ogre exists and just do the same job, but better. Blooded Warlord, Dragon. Figurehead of the Narfar didn't come up because I only had 1 shooting regiment, and I'm volley 1 anyway, so it was kind of like, yay! And also, I never shot his regiment that he was in. Like, he was in a unit of trolls, and I just never shot at that guy, so I was kind of like, sweet, have fun. Dragon for that +1 clash, Blooded, gonna do tons of work with his cleave 2 and his 6 attacks and his clash 4. Like, he'll kill people. He wants to fight. Being in a unit of trolls is also really nice just because they're regen 6. They're high wounds. Only issue with trolls is that they're defense 2, resolve 3. They are pretty quick though. They're a great MSU trader, but once they start getting into dedicated hammers and anvils and things that could kind of just do a ton of damage to them, like lots of attacks, they start falling apart. So they really do not want to be hit by Ashen Dawn. Even if the Ashen Dawn didn't have cleave, they're still defense 2, so they kind of just fall apart really quick. He's got 2 units of trolls with standard bearers, all the standards. Then we got 2 units of bow chosen. Holy fuck these things. Like, they are volley 3, they're March 6, they have range 14, barrage 5. So you're shooting 5 shots at 14 inches, and they have precise shots, so every 1 is going to be a smite shot, so you're going to ignore armor. Or defense, so if your opponent has no evasion, they're instant hits, they are instant wounds, they just do damage, which is great. These are some of your armor crackers, especially with opportunists from surprise attack supremacy from the Jarl Warlord. You want Bow Chosen to shoot into people's flank because you get opportunists and you can reroll your failed hits, so you're looking for more ones so you can do more damage. Bow Chosen, super good. They have a static threat range. Well, you can say that for everybody, but you gotta look for that 20 inches, and you gotta sit 20.1 so that they don't shoot you, and then zoom up and hit them when you can, when you have an opportunity that arise, and then you just swarm them with too many threats. Don't just send something in one at a time, because Bow Chosen will rip them apart, and you don't need that. Lastly, Shaman Warlord, Mistcaller's Remnant. I read it, and then I totally forgot what it does. Regiments was reroll hits of 1 when performing a volley action against target regiment this character stands currently attached to. Oh, okay, cool. This also didn't come up because I don't think I shot them. I did cast, I think, a Holy Fire at them, or I Holy Fired somebody. We'll find out when we get to the actual game. He also has Sack Lamb. Shaman really wants to run up there early, get that Sack Lamb off on a key turn where you're going to have all your forces hitting something. Bless defensively, bless offensively, especially with this army, is going to be really good for you. You got tons of melee attacks coming into you, so bless defensively will keep you alive a little longer. Blessing offensively will hopefully get that next little bit of punch you need to start wiping stuff out and clearing it off. Raiders are the standard bearer. They're Raiders. They punch up very well. They have their defense 1, evasion 1, so they kind of just die. So hopefully they just, die. Off of the Shaman, the only spell that was cast was Hoarfrost, range 12, attunement 3, target suffers 1 hit per success with AP 2, and if they're engaged, they suffer 2 additional hits. So you kind of just run the Raiders up, you know, charge class someone, or maybe if you need to tie someone down, march charge them, activate the Shaman, Hoarfrost them, get your successes, and then add another 2 because you're engaged. It's pretty great. People hate it because it's a very good spell. So with that, I'm gonna slow roll these Nord rules, pause the video at any time, and I hope you guys are all having a great day, because let's go to the scenario. Here's a scenario we're playing today, Divide and Conquer. We have 2 friendly zones and a friendly objective. We also have 2 enemy zones and an enemy objective, and then we have our 2 neutral zones. And there we go. So you get 3 VPs if you kill the enemy objective marker. I'm just gonna do it in black. So this guy. You gain 2 VPs for each zone you are seizing. You gain an additional 2 if you're seizing 3 or more, and you gain an additional 1 if you're seizing more zones than your opponent. You also get 2 VPs for killing the warlord. This one, I don't mind Divide and Conquer. It's a little weird, so I'm just gonna clear up all that. How I tend to play it, and there might be other ways, is that I tend to go for kind of like this. I start out that. So I start just going for the middle 2 zones, kind of have a fight with my opponent, and then I try and collapse a flank and break off and try and take one of my opponent's other 2 zones. And if I collapse the middle, I'll go for that objective and just kind of see if I can kill it. The issues I have with it are the objectives at 12 inches are a bit far back to interact with. The other problem with 12 inches is that a lot of things are March 5 with a banner or March 6. So if there's 6, you can't land on that objective, so you have to put yourself on either side of it. You know what? We'll do it in. You know, you gotta go either here with your regiment or here. So you don't have that center space to use. You have to commit to either side, what then commits you to that zone a little harder than maybe if you could just go right up in the middle and then flex how you wanted to. You have to make a choice. The other, with March 5 with a banner, you're 11 inches up. The objective is 2.6. You split that in half, so you're 1.3, so you can't even 11-inch march just to butt up to the objective your full distance. You actually get pushed back a bit. What's not that great. And then if you're a March 5 regiment, your first march should clear it. No? Yes? No, because you need to get your butt over. So your first march doesn't clear it if you're a March 5 regiment. So you have to second march, so you can't just, let me use purple, you can't just like march over it and then shoot out. You have to double march, what kind of sucks. Like, it's kind of my issue with the 12-inch zones. With the friendly and enemy objective zones being 12 inches away, to get to them you have to collapse a flank. Like, you have to destroy and push through and really go for it to get those 3 zones to score those additional VPs. However, because you're now within, I don't know, 15 inches of the board edge, a lot of things will just run up and be like, hello, are you supported? Or did you just see an opening and just kind of ran a regiment long bomb down the table, and now your opponent just kind of, you know, pops on the table, next turn they just kind of hit you. And if they play it right, they can zone you out, so if you decide to charge them, you will be off the objective, and if they charge you, they're going to be on it and killing you. So you're kind of in this catch-22 because you haven't walked down the flanks yet. Also, you got to watch out for what your opponent has reinforcing on, because they're going to, you know, deploy stuff and have things come on the way they want to. So be careful about that. And I don't know, that's kind of it. I don't mind this one. I do like it. I think it's pretty good. It's got a couple things going for it. It's got a couple things not going for it. But overall, it's a pretty good scenario. A lot of the action is for those 2 neutral objectives, and then a side collapse, and then you just take your opponent's objective, and then that's how you kind of score to win. So with that, let's go to the table. Here's the table today. We have in green our 2 neutral objectives, and in blue our 2 enemy objectives. And I'll just do the objective marker, and then red, my friendly objective marker, and that. So we have, I'll do it in green, 2 water, 2 size 3 buildings, really locking down that right side. And then we have 3 forests who are obscuring and broken. So we decided to go with that this game. I was like, sure, cool. And so if you charge through the broken, you roll a 6, you take a wound. If you're a cav, you take 2 wounds. So super duper sweet. And I have had it before where I've rolled 3 6s and watched an Ashen Dawn die. It was super fun. We rolled off for that and we got broken. So it's kind of like, all right, let's go with that. Train's not bad. It's a little like my biggest issues are kind of these houses. I really feel they segregate the board a little too hard. Like it's kind of just this black line. Well, it ended up being more like this. So it kind of segregated the board so that the 2 zones on the right and a bit of that neutral zone kind of got cut off from everyone else. There was a much bigger battle going on for the left side of the table over here. So I don't know, having those buildings like that really just kind of prevent people from getting onto zones, and you kind of have to put a regiment butting up beside this building and then kind of like trying cornering in, and it's just, you're just fucking around way too much. I'm not super big of a fan of it. The forests, they're kind of fine. You know, putting it in the middle is actually pretty good to reduce shots. Putting it on the other 2 zones, I'll just do it in orange, like here and here asymmetrically, that was kind of fine. And then the water's too far back. It wasn't relevant, basically. When it became relevant, it still wasn't relevant. You'll understand why when I get there. But it was just kind of too far back to do anything. I feel water should be more central or beside objectives or half on objectives, just so that when you're fighting over them, they become relevant. Because if they're too far back, you could just, you just run past them and you're like, okay, whatever. Like, I just ran through the water. That's basically, you can just treat it as open terrain. While if you have forests further back, you can sit a shooting regiment in the forest to shoot out of at other shooting regiments, and those shooting regiments shooting into you are going to be half shots. So great. So that's why that forest being back is a little better than water being back. So with that, let's go to turn 1. Here's turn 1. Get my Theus Priest and my Militia Bowmen. I mess around with deploying them a little bit, and I end up deciding to go with a square so that I can shimmy over here and kind of march up later in the game. And I can still kind of like touch stuff over here, or touch stuff over here. I want to deploy the Theus Priest centrally. My opponent didn't get his bow chosen, so I kind of felt safe that I could, drop the Theus Priest in the middle, run him up his full distance, because the bow chosen are going to take a little bit more time. And with that, I'll have Sealed Temple up in their grill, doing work, putting into a threat range, getting +1 defense cast on them, and I'll be in a safe and better spot. My opponent decides to bring on his Raiders and Shaman. Guess he's trying to set up for that sack pawn early. I lost the roll-off. I rolled. I think we play for about 8 or 9 turns. Out of those turns, I'm pretty sure I rolled 6 or 7 6s to decide who goes first. So it's gonna be real good for me. This is what I'm saying. And I had less cards for the majority of the game, so you know how much fun I was really having at that point where I'm like, oh, I should get the roll. No. My opponent also rolled a lot of 1s, and I was for the go first, and I was like, wow, okay, I see how this is going. But Shaman Raider is running up there. He's looking, he can score, so he's looking for that one. Sweet. He can just run up, touch that zone. He's kind of safe from the house. to like split the deployment, split there, so I kind of have to. I'll do it in orange, drop something here if I want to engage with him and interact with him, so that kind of splits my forces off from each other and doesn't keep them all nice and tight. So I'll have to decide at some point if I'm going to drop something there and contest it, or if I'm going to go on the other side and do some work. But really, that's turn 1. Let's go to turn 2. Okay, here's turn 2. Good things happen for my opponent, and then good things happen for me. So let's start with my opponent. He gets all his lights and all his mediums. What's not, I would say, annoying, more like, oh boy, here's a lot of guys, but in response, I get all my mediums. So I'm kind of like, all right, I can defend this. I have things I can do. I'm quicker than him. He doesn't have Vanguard because he doesn't have the Blooded Warlord, but let's get into this. First things first, Militia, I think they just dirtle around. A bunch of characters are drawn between the both of us. We're trying to just dirtle each other out. I have my Sealed Temple start run up the table. So as you can see, these guys run up. That's the MSU, which is part of the Warlord. Theus Priest, we'll just do it in orange. Cast the +1 defense spell. There's the token. Sweet. My opponent, his Raiders over here are the last thing to move. Perfectly reasonable, smart thing to do. He starts dropping his Trolls. He puts these Trolls here because he's trying to look to reinforce those middle Raiders, what he's planning to hopefully have me kill to get Sacrificial Lamb off, and then he's gonna have those Trolls charge into me and, you know, do all the stuff from there. So he's setting that up. He's got 2 MSU of Huskarls between that objective and that water and all that stuff. Over here, I'm just gonna do a little box. That's another unit of Bow Chosen back there. He's just all kind of piled in. I'm size 2 for 90% of my army, so he loves sitting behind his Huskarls. He can use the Huskarls to get in the way and prevent me from touching his Bow Chosen. It's really smart on him. I, in response, just kind of run up both the units of Sealed Temple, as you see here. They kind of just wheel and set up into this claptrap. I've kind of explained that before, where I'm really looking to have him come into it, and then I can like get a charge of the front, charge of the side, hopefully do a bunch of damage and kill stuff. Or if he tries to march charges me, the other regiment can go and hit the side and wipe them out, freeing up the other regiment. Sweet. That's kind of what's going on over there. That's basically all my actions. So my opponent from there, you know, he drops Trolls over here. He's got a character in them, their scoring unit. I have deployed, I'll use an orange, nothing over here. So my opponent is already kind of looking at getting these Trolls into that zone. What, I don't blame him. His only issue is I have 3 units of Ashen Dawn who are not on the table. His 2 units of Bear Sharks that are on the table. But the only things that are very dangerous threats are the 2 units of Bow Chosen and the 2 units of Bear Sharks. Sealed Temple will kill Bear Sharks, so if I can trade Sealed Temple into Bear Sharks, that'll be really good for me. And then if I can catch and kill Bow Chosen, the rest of his list can't really do much into me. Huskarls are kind of be used as chaff and anvils to get in the way and stop me from getting to him. But Sealed Temple should do enough work to try and kill him off. Ashen Dawn for sure will kill him off. Ashen Dawn will for sure kill Trolls. Ashen Dawn will for sure kill Raiders. And then if Ashen Dawn can get the March Charge and then clash into Bow Chosen, I can stop their shooting and just kind of blow them up. I'll be good. So I've already identified my threats. You know, these Bear Sharks way back here. You know what? We'll make them purple. And then this Bow Chosen was kind of gone over to support that side. I don't mind that placement. I think he should have maybe dropped his Bow Chosen back here and just kind of done a stronger center so that he could shoot over his Trolls, kind of start clearing it up, kind of drawing his line. I'll use this other color. Kind of like this. So he can kind of take over that side of the board, have a strong center using my size against me, and then just kind of sneak in and grab the zone over here. But besides that, my opponent does his Raiders last. He runs up, he grabs the zone, scores 3 points. Alright, I know once he did that, I'm going to have to play for the late game. I realized early on that I need to let him score because I need to get myself set up in position that I can start killing all his stuff. He's not going to have the durability to survive the onslaught of Ashen Dawn, but I just needed to kind of keep on him with score, but not let him like run off with it. So I still need to be a little worried about everything and hopefully do some good work back. But right now, I'm really just waiting for the Ashen Dawn. I don't need to commit just yet. Let's go to turn 3. Here's turn 3. Similar thing to start off with. Or actually, I get 1 unit of Ashen Dawn, and my opponent gets 1 unit of Bear Sharks. There we go. Now, similar thing that goes on. I lose the roll-off. I'm going second. Opponent's going first. He's got more cards. Cool. We character draw each other a bunch. I cast the +1 defense spell. And then I have the Militia shift over and then move up. I then have, I believe, Ashen Dawn. They kind of run up a little wide. I wanted them to be a little more this way, but I had these, circle them in orange, these Sealed Temple kind of in the way. My opponent starts to, with his Raiders, one of his first actions is actually just backing off the Raiders. But I'm like, okay, sure. You could have kind of pushed them down my throat, then got trolls. I probably would have hit the Raiders and killed them and done a bunch of damage. And they wouldn't be in a really good spot. But then trolls would have came in and hit those Sealed Temple and killed them. These trolls right here. I'll just put them over there. That's okay. But he backs up those Raiders. That's the first thing. Then he starts developing the rest of his Huskarls. He starts moving them forward. He moves these guys up in a way so that if the Sealed Temple in orange, and now with this red line through them, want to come for those Huskarls, his other unit of Huskarls will hit me. I'm like, I'm not going to fall for your reindeer games. And I just kind of move over and side over where they currently are. I just kind of like fluid and walk and move, just kind of like they're over there now. Sweet. The other unit of Sealed Temple sit, do this, 20.1 away. I didn't really want to get shot. Opponent with his bow chosen just kind of wanders up. He starts activating other stuff. He's got these guys over here. He runs up. He has the trolls go. They kind of just run up, but he's kind of worried about the Sealed Temple. We'll circle them in purple. I'll state them. So these trolls. He's worried about my other unit, Sealed Temple. So he doesn't just run the trolls forward, get on that zone or anything. He just kind of puts them there kind of looking at the rest of my stuff. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, cool. I run up and I get on the zone to score it so I can get some points, keep my opponent back. It's free points at this point. And if he goes in with the trolls, I can hit him with other stuff. I know with Sealed Temple, I have like a couple other options and it'll be fine. He starts to run these trolls. He's looking to get into my zone. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I still have 2 units of Ashen Dawn that can come on. 1 unit of Ashen Dawn can easily come in here, kill a unit of trolls, get into bow chosen, get into raiders, support this side, start collapsing that entire flank. And I really just need to kind of have them go and just do all that and it'll be fine. But that's what he's going over there. On the left side, I'm kind of done. My opponent kind of just like draws out. He realizes that I'm not going to be putting anything in the zone. I hummed and hawed. This zone in green, I hummed and hawed a ton if I was going to put the orange Sealed Temple in there. I decided not to because I would have been in range to get shot by bow chosen. I would have had Huskarls running up, and I'm like, you know what? What I said to myself in the moment was, I am not going to gain anything if I get that zone. He can have the points. I need to keep my stuff alive because I need to get Ashen Dawn. I need to have Sealed Temple kind of running around. We'll win this game later on. I don't need to give him free damage. I need to get work done before I take damage. I have the speed bonus. I can do this. So I just didn't commit to that. Normally I would, but I just didn't really want to have him shoot me and potentially kill me if he rolled really well. So he takes that zone, so we both score 2 points. His Bear Sharks, they just run up the table in that free space right there. He's looking to windshield wiper across the table. I'm going to have to prevent that. Sealed Temple can trade into Bear Sharks because they're only 4 wounds and defense 3. I have the speed bonus. And fluid, so I can probably get to him first and then just kind of wipe him out. So that's the plan there. So that's the end of turn 3. We both score 2. Let's move on to turn 4. Here's turn 4. Things that come on the table. Another unit of Bear Sharks. Another unit of Ashen Dawn way down there. So, things that happen. I believe, once again, my opponent wins the roll-off. He activates his raiders, and he is over here, and he's looking to get the march charge into me, do some damage, all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, we figure out that even if he march charged, he wouldn't be able to get into my flank to then have the trolls go in. He's going to be coming into the front. So he just decides to just charge me in the front. He rolls the 5, gets in, and he ends up over here. His raiders attack, kill off a stand of Seal Temple. I'm like, sweet. Theist Priest. Do Seal Temple go? Yeah, no, yeah. So Seal Temple go. So I'm engaged with that one stand. Currently 2, but he's going to go down to 1. I'll explain why. I'm currently engaged over there, so I'm like, well, I have 3 Seal Temple cards in my deck to go. I draw 1 and I look at it. I'm like, well, let's get this Seal Temple into this Huskarl regiment. Seal Temple go in, do a bunch of damage, clash, and I believe they kill those Huskarls. So I'm like, sweet, doing really good. My opponent counters with his Huskarls. They go in, do a bunch of damage, get the Seal Temple down to like 2. I go for like the duel. He goes for no. Bow Chosen, then go and just shoot those Seal Temple, killing them. I'm like, okay, sweet, they're dead. But he declined the duel, so he's broken, so he's not going to be scoring that zone. Sweet. I then have my next unit of Seal Temple go. I look at where the Seal Temple are, and I'm like, well, these guys over on the right over here, I'll just, do the orange one, because that's where they used to be. They haven't gone yet, that's fine. I had the Theist Priest either go after 1 Seal Temple or 2, but basically, my issue with the Theist Priest was that he was, in orange, out of range. With that guy dying, he was out of range now. And he was, like, just out of range of those guys, so he kind of just did, like, a reform and everything with the regiment. Actually, no. He cast on the right side guys. He just failed the roll, even with focus. He failed. This was the turn he failed Blessed, because I was going to give him Blessed. So that I could, kill off a bunch, but he failed the roll. That's what it was. And he's out of range of those guys, so I just reformed the regiment and kind of moved them up a little bit. Or, well, I guess back. I don't know. I just moved them around so I can get into range. But he's out of range of my one stand, so that's super great. So he's in range. Yeah, so he's in range, and he can't really do anything there. So, after he's done, regiment reforms and does its stuff, and gets to where it currently is. There, done. Figured it out. Next, as you can see over on the right, opponent just runs trolls in. Opponent, I drop the Ashen Dawn. Key thing here is that there is a 2-stand gap right there. So if his trolls charge me, he's off the zone. If I charge him, it's an auto in. In response, he just runs his Bow Chosen all the way up the table to get into range to counter shoot me. Fair, it's pretty good. I'm going to probably spend a turn killing trolls, then he's going to shoot me, and then hopefully if I live, I'll go and kill Bow Chosen. Next thing goes on, Seal Temple over here, they just kind of move out of the way because they need the Ashen Dawn to get going. I have Bear Shark coming at me. My opponent, I believe he deploys... No, he has Bear Shark's go, and he's looking... He doesn't have Bear Shark's go. He does some other stuff, but... Yeah, so he has Ashen Dawn... Bleh. Fucking too much crap going on. I have Ashen Dawn. They just do a march charge into these Huskarls. I kill a bunch on impacts. They have like 4 health left, or maybe even less. Now he has the Bear Sharks go. He fails the Bloodlust, rolls a 6. He looks to charge those Ashen Dawn. He needs a 5. He rolls a 2 and a 3, and he like moves up 2 inches. Then his other unit of Bear Sharks come onto the table. And I'm kind of looking at it now where I'm like, oh, well, like what are we doing? How are we going to deal with this? So, things that go on. My opponent scores this zone for 2 points. I score this zone for 2 points, staying tied with him. And, my opponent scores this zone over here because he ran his trolls in. There we go. ran his trolls into the zone, ready for when the Shaman Raiders die. Sweet. That is turn 4. Let's go to turn 5. Here's turn 5. I get my last unit of Ashen Dawn, and a bunch of things change for the better. So, first things first. Ashen Dawn go. I charge, clash, kill the trolls. They're dead. Sweet. That's on lockdown. My opponent has Bow Chosen go. He had Shaman go. Yeah, that was it. I think I still roll. I think this is the one time I want to roll off, because I remember that happening. And then his Shaman tries to kill my Sealed Temple. I'll just, put him right here. He wasn't there. He wasn't on the zone, so he was right here. So my Shaman tries to goes and kills him. Raiders, he lives, because I also declare this my Supremacy turn, so I get blessed. I bless off the attacks. He lives. And then he goes and claps back, kills off the Raiders. Then the Trolls go in, kill him. And then later on in the game, Militia Bowman and Theist Priest just, holy fire and shoot and kill off a stand and do some damage to the Trolls. That's fine. Bow Chosen, shoot these Ashen Dawn. Awesome. Ashen Dawn, I just clash. Kill off the Huskarls and the Warlord. Sweet. Then I charge into the Bocho. They lose 2 stands. There's 1 stand back over here behind everything. And at that point, I decided to come off the zone. So this is a little controversial. I decided to come off the zone because the Bow Chosen are one of the threats I need to kill to live. If I can just clean up his army, clean up his threats, the right side is going to kind of fall to me, and I'm going to secure that. So, I'm hoping to get this Ashen Dawn into this zone, this Ashen Dawn into that zone. These Ashen Dawn are running up there to kill those trolls. And then this battle over here in purple can just be its own thing. My Sealed Temple finally go. They're over here. They do a wide fluid, get within 8, charge into these Bear Sharks, impact clash, kill those Bear Sharks. My opponent in response charges in with his Bear Sharks, killing my Sealed Temple and my Warlord. I'm fine with that trade, just because it keeps his Bear Sharks back, away from the Ashen Dawn. I've killed off one of his units of Bear Sharks with Sealed Temple, and I'm probably in a really good spot. One of the big reasons also why I charged, we'll do it in this other thing of purple right here, why I charged those guys was because his Bear Sharks couldn't see me, so they couldn't get the charge off. And I think he flubs that charge again, where I think he gets the bloodlust resolve so he can do stuff, but he just still couldn't roll it. So he still couldn't get into me to stop me. And I was like, okay, cool. So and that's what allowed those Bear Sharks to be a little closer, but allowed the Sealed Temple to fluid reform into them and kill them. So with that, my opponent scores another 3 points. Not the end of the world, but I'm kind of on cleanup duty right now. That 3rd unit of Ashen Dawn has hit the table, and now I'm hopefully just gonna try and mop up the rest of this mess, get on some points, and score it out to win. So let's go to turn 6. Here's turn 6. Good things that happen. I believe my opponent was a roll-off. Shoots Ashen Dawn. Kills Ashen Dawn. Sweet. Not sweet. He broke and shattered them. Well, they were already broken, so he shattered them. So I'm like, okay, fine. Ashen Dawn charge trolls. Kills trolls. Get on the zone. Score it. Sweet. With that, he has his Bear Sharks go... I think he fails this resolve again, or he goes for it. I forget which one, but he needs like a 5 or something. And he fails it. And kind of shimmies up a bit, as you can see. So, not that great for him. My Ashen Dawn in response, clash, kill the last Bocho, who's sitting right here. I just bless the clash, because I'm like, well, I'm just going to kill you. And then I reform so that I am... what is it? 5 plus 6 is 11. 11.1 away from there, so he has to march charge me. And then I have my Militia and Theist Priest reform and run over there. Sweet. Doing pretty good, catching up on points. these Ashen Dawn on the right here got to reform and charge into these Bochos and hopefully kill them. They're going to kill 2 stands if they get the charge off, and then I can kind of clean them up and then run back on the zone. And then it's just us playing chicken over here between these 2 regiments. So for now, kind of in a really good spot. Holy Fire into Bear Sharks is also really good because it's 2 hits per success and defense 3. So if my opponent rolls bad, he could just take a ton of damage. Just on the spell itself, the Resolve, because he's Resolve 5, it's not going to be a ton, but it still damages damage at this point, and I kind of need to clear up and clean up, and then get on those points, score it to win. So we're just kind of playing out the last little bit. Let's go to turn, I believe, 7. Here's turn 7. Doing great stuff. I win the roll-off. I reform charge my Ashen Dawn, bless the impact attacks into the Bochosen, knocking him down to 1 stand. I believe the Bochosen clash back, but don't do anything. In response, I just shift my Ashen Dawn over here. Bear Sharks not wanting me to score. I believe at this point he wins the roll-off, but he has to march charge me to get to me, so he just march charges and gets in. And then the Theist Priest and the Militia just unload into him. So no scoring this turn, it's fine, but with 2 stands of Bear Sharks, I don't think he's going to kill 4 stands of Ashen Dawn. And that 1 stand of Bochosen is going to kill 4 stands of Ashen Dawn. So at this point, I've kind of won. So let's go to turn 3 turn 8. And see if I can get back on those points and score out to win. Because I'm pretty sure I'm behind at this point. It's A-okay. I kind of just need 2 turns of scoring 2 zones and I'll be fine. Here's turn 8. My opponent, I believe, wins the roll-off. Bear Sharks go. Bear Sharks stab Ashen Dawn, kill off a stand. Ashen Dawn in retaliation, stab back and kill him. I just inspire Clash. I'm like, no, I gotta confirm the kill. I need to get these guys out of here. Actually, he does that. I do these Ashen Dawn then, kill off the Bochosen, and then I just march back 3 inches. I just kind of put him in reverse. Then my other Ashen Dawn go, then kill him off, and then that's kind of it. So that's really it for turn 8. Not a whole much to talk about, just clean up the table. Let's go to turn 9, and then we'll just count up points. Here's turn 9. You know, slide onto the zones, slide onto the zones. 9 and 10, I'm going to score these zones twice. I'm going to get 10 points in total. I'm pretty sure I'm at 9 points right now, so 9 plus 10 is 19. I think my opponent was at 15, so let's go to score and have a look at it. Here's the score. Yeah, there we go. Got my 19. Opponent's got their 15, and that's turn 10. So a win for 100k. So let's talk about it. There were times in the game where I was actually pretty worried. He got a lot of stuff on early on, but I also got a lot of stuff on early on. Mostly all my mediums was really helpful. And then my heavies kind of trickled on, and I kind of feel like I anticipated any traps he tried to set. Because my opponent tried to set me up a lot of times, and I just, like, didn't go for it early. I was like, you know what, that's obviously a trap. I'm not going to do it. I'll just wait for more Ashen Dawn. He scored some points. I wasn't super worried. I just needed to make sure that by the end of turn 10, I would have more points than him. And then counting up that I could, I just went in there, smash face, and took it. So on the right side with the trolls, I think that was a good play, but because I had that Ashen Dawn regiment kind of delayed for so long, I only got 1 on turn 3, 1 on turn 4, and 1 on turn 5. Having the Ashen Dawn kind of come in like that kind of forced my opponent to be, I wouldn't say careful, but he had to be wary because he didn't know where they were going to show up, what side they were going to reinforce, and how that was going to dictate play. And every time a regiment kind of went into a thing, it usually traded upwards so that I would kill it, or I would wound it or I would wound it enough that another regiment could come and kill it and another thing, and I could kind of continue forward from there. So I just didn't fall for any of the bait traps my opponent set up. Was really good. I think my opponent did a decent job kind of setting them up. I think he needed to really be in position more to like a turn earlier. He couldn't really do that though, because he couldn't just like run something up to die. He didn't need that the same way because I was also setting up traps, and yeah, he was scoring, but I think maybe he should have been a little more aggressive on the right side to score. to get those couple extra points and to bait out a unit of Steel Temple just because I needed to kill his stuff. And then he has Bow Chosen and Trolls on that right side neutral zone that he could do some damage to and leave me exposed and hopefully get enough points that he could score out. So he would have scored another 2 to 3. And then at that point, he would have been at 15 plus 3 would be 18. I would have been down 2 points to 17. There's a win right there. Yeah. Him backing off, leaving that open and allowing me to get on it for those 2 points was... He didn't need to do that. I think he was trying to set up for Sack Lamb to be on a more important turn where he had a lot more stuff going in, what I don't blame. I just feel he should have put that character in that regiment on that zone, locked it down and said, hey, if you want to take this guy, you're going to trigger Sack Lamb, you're going to get shot by Bow Chosen, and you're going to take Trolls on the side. And you kind of have to because I'm starting to run away on points. Him backing up that point I don't think was very good, and I took advantage of that by scoring that zone. So that was a mistake on my opponent that I exploited. His Bow Chosen were doing pretty good. He was selecting proper targets, shooting them into Ashen Dawn, except once Ashen Dawn broke through, I was just march charging, just kind of like throwing impact attacks at them to hopefully kill them. Impact attacks before Ashen Dawn killed off 2 stands, and then I wasn't worried about them. You know, I was just going to clash and then run off elsewhere. The Ashen Dawn that got shot up on the right side, that went down to like 2 stands and broken, my opponent rolled like 6 to 9 ones. It was crazy how many ones he rolled. And he was in effective range, so it was 6. Would it be 19 shots at that point? Yeah, it was 19. And he rolled like 6 to 9 ones, so it was just like losing Ashen Dawn wasn't super fun. And that's just how the dice go. But I recovered on that side by taking out the Trolls on that neutral objective on the right side, and then reforming and charging him and cleaning him up. So yeah, what else on that? I think also keeping my Sealed Temple off and just kind of waiting for more Ashen Dawn to show up was a good play on my end. When I did send the Sealed Temple in, they usually took something and then died, what was really nice. And then I had the Ashen Dawn follow up so that, okay, cool, you killed the Ashen Dawn screen, and the Ashen Dawn screen took something. Here's Ashen Dawn, go deal with it. So that was really good. These Priest Holy Fire and +1 defense. So early on, you kind of cast +1 defense as you're running stuff up, but then as you get into engagements, you're like Ashen Dawn, Sealed Temple. You're doing all the fights because for killing a regiment to take no damage or having your opponent roll to take some damage, just kill the regiment. Just make sure it's dead. That's why I kind of inspire Clash a lot, just to confirm the kill. Or in this case, I was using Blessed on Clashes just to confirm the kill, because I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to risk the dice. There was like Huskarl with the Jarl who had 4 wounds left, and I decided to save the Bless because I wanted on the impact attacks for the Bow Chosen. But I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to get 19? No, 20? I think it was 20. So was it 12, 24, 25 attacks? Yeah, I was going to get 25 attacks into Huskarls. They needed to fail 4 of them to die. Man, even 2 and then resolve. So, like, still pretty good on Clash 4. So I did that without the Bless, and then I charged and impacted Bow Chosen and killed off 2 stands. But I'm all about confirming the kill. And sometimes you just don't confirm the kill. And I'm like, well, that really sucks because I kind of need that thing to die. But yeah, overall, really good game. Thanks to my opponent. If you like this, like and subscribe. Join the BonkTable Discord. Description's in the link below. There's podcasts, BonkTable Podcast, and I believe my wonderful co-host Cassandra has a Twitter. So I hope you guys all had a great day. Bye.